Hello, everybody. It's David here from Wired for Autism. Today, I'm going to talk about how I found happiness in a neurotypical world. I can tell you, it's not been an easy ride. It began after my Asperger's syndrome diagnosis. I had that eureka moment when my life began to make sense. By the time I was diagnosed in 2007, I'd been married for 11 years with two children, both of whom had been considered by their health visitor as likely to be autistic, although no one would assess them until they were older, although my diagnosis gave us a foothold on the diagnostic journey. At this time, I was suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome and was on long-term sick leave from my job as a civil servant. We were actively seeking explanation for our children's behaviour and concerns about socialising with their peers. This part of my story is for another time, but suffice to say, I was not in the best of places with my mental health. My diagnosis, though not a total surprise, made me revalue my life and paved the way for less masking and more, well, being me. With support from some excellent occupational therapists, I quickly moved from the negative feelings of being inferior and thinking, there's me and there's everybody else, and I'm not normal like they are, to being differently wired. This is why my company is called Wired for Autism. Simply put, us autistics are differently wired, neither inferior or indeed superior. We simply have a different operating system. After all, Windows and Mac may be different computer systems running totally different software, but neither is necessarily superior to the other. Autistics now like to use the term neurodivergent to identify themselves with other autistics and people with similar conditions to the neurotypical norm. I find this very empowering, as though I am a proud Aspie or autistic, it helps me to identify with a larger, albeit diverse community. I think this helps us to move away from the combative labels of neurotypical versus autistic to a shared humanity. Shortly after I was diagnosed, I began to work with the National Autistic Society Adult Services, initially as a volunteer, as I was still recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, later as a support worker, team leader, trainer, and speaker. At the NAS, for the first time in my working life, I was fully able to be me, the real me. Although apparently popular with staff, I still found a better connection with the autistic people I supported, despite the fact that many were very intellectually impaired and many non-verbal. I found communicating with them easier than my colleagues. Here, there was no ambiguity or double meanings. I've always been too trusting of others, and this has led to some very painful life lessons. People don't always say what they mean, or indeed mean what they say. For a long time, I expected people to always treat me well because I believed that I always treated them well. So how did I make the changes I needed to make myself happier? Through life experience and self-awareness, by living my life, learning lessons as I went along, and by my wife, family, and closest friends allowing me to be, well, me. One of the biggest challenges I've faced in my life as a high functioning autistic is to sometimes appear normal enough to be seen as hashtag normal, but not enough to be treated normally. So I've been bullied at school or work over a number of years. Much of this because I expected to behave and interact with my peers and try to fit in, and being too self-critical when I failed or felt that I failed. Being so late diagnosed, not surprising, as Asperger's syndrome wasn't first named until 1981 when I was 15, and as a formal diagnostic label until 1994. For the first 40 years of my life, I couldn't understand why I was often falling short of my goals and expectations. Diagnosis, awareness, and self-acceptance had to come first before I could make positive changes. Today, I am able to make peace with past mistakes and missed opportunities and use my personal and professional experience to make positive changes and hopefully educate and inspire others. Undoubtedly, we could all benefit by having happier lives, For some autistic adults, happiness has been considered secondary to behavior management, leading to a lower quality of life and feelings of self-worth. For professionals in the field of autism, there has to be a focus on the principles of positive psychology and to concentrate less on the negative aspects of autism. Meanwhile, change is hard, slow to come, and is often achieved in the face of adversity, taking many small steps over a long period of change. My life is not perfect, and I've faced many challenges too, but autism need not be a byword for unhappiness. If I can offer any advice to someone who cares for an autistic person, it would be to identify and allow them to engage in activities or interests that are meaningful to them. For some, it'll be talking about their special interests to someone who will actually listen, or just listening quietly to music through headphones. And remember, what makes one person happy may be unique to them. Sometimes a quiet, contented mind can be the happiest feelings of all. If you like this video, then please subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.